Frimpong Manso translates the news in sign language. You can watch our bulletin live on DSTV channel 278, on www.gbcghanaonline.com, or on our Facebook page. The National Identification Authority has rescheduled its nationwide distribution of more than 3 million Ghana cards from today, Wednesday, June 10, 2020. I beg your pardon? To Wednesday, the 10th of June 2020. This is to enable the NIA to distribute personal protective equipment to 5,635 registration centers in all the 16 regions. In a statement signed by the head of corporate affairs of the NIA, Mr. Francis Palmdetti, on Monday, the NIA expressed regret for any inconvenience caused to the public.
On Friday, June 5, the NIA announced plans to start distributing 3,875,441 printed Ghana cards to applicants in 5,635 registration centers concurrently from Monday, June 8 to Tuesday, June 16. The exercise, is said, would enable 11,062,850 Ghanaians to use their cards to vouch for their relatives or other Ghanaians who wished to register during the nationwide mop-up registration exercise beginning from June 18 to mid-September. Also, it will enable them to use the cards for other mandatory purposes stated in the National Identification Registers Regulation 2012 LI 2111, including registering as a voter and vouching for others as Ghanaians.
Now to the Bono region, where the police has arrested a driver and his mate for transporting more than 8,000 slabs of dried leaves suspected to be marijuana.
The Drug Law Enforcement Unit DLEU of the Ghana Police Service says this is the biggest haul of dried leaves since the unit started operations. The Regional Crime Officer Nana Kwekudia said the police acted upon a tip-off and tracked the vehicle for Winchi, effecting the arrest between Menji and Banda Hinkro in the Banda district.
The police say the haul consisted of about 8,400 compressed slabs of the dried leaves. Its street value is estimated at 1.2 million Ghana cedis. The illicit drugs in the cargo truck were carefully packaged and covered with sawdust, lumber, plywood and boxes of agrochemical substances in the truck to outwit security personnel. Briefing the media in Sunyang, the Bono Regional Crime Officer Nana Kwekudia said the driver and mate of the truck with registration number JR 2474-16 are in police custody and soon to be put before court.
We appeal to the public and you, the media too, to also help us all the time with information so that we go out to arrest the drug dealers. Almost all the cases that we handle have a correlation with drugs addiction. So when you say, oh, after all, these people who are trading in their drugs, I don't care. You care because it affects everybody.
The leader of the Drug Law Enforcement Unit team, Detective Chief Inspector Adams Yahaya, said the seizure is the biggest since the unit started operations in the Bono region.
Celebrating this year's World Oceans Day in Accra came with the launch of an app for fishermen. The app, a collaboration between the University of Ghana's Marine and Fisheries Science Department and the Ghana Meteorological Agency, seeks to minimize accidents on the high seas. A report by Gifty Ejay.
We sometimes stay on the sea for weeks without communication. Sometimes the weather is just too bad. There have been times our boats have capsized.
These were some of the harrowing stories of some fishermen from Jamestown and Nungwa, both fishing communities in the Greater Accra region. This fisherman lost his two sons in a fishing expedition that went bad some years ago. 4 other young men died with his children, making 6 casualties. Their boat capsized. He tells GBC News it is one of the worst experiences that he would not even wish for his worst enemy. To put an end to stories like this, the Marine and Fisheries Sciences Department of the University of Ghana and the Ghana Meteorological Agency have developed a smart app that can tell accurately if the sea is safe or rough. To be part of this program, one needs a phone, any type of phone, even a yam. Next is to dial the short code *920 *88#. After that, the numbers 1, 2 or 3 will pop up. The number 1 indicates that the sea is safe for expedition. The number 2 means fairly safe, and the number 3 means not safe for fishing. Professor George Riafi for years has researched on the ocean. He explains why the sea is increasingly becoming unsafe for fishing.
We are using satellite data to find the best means in managing the ocean and its resources. So number 1, we are protecting fishers who are using canoe with no satellite systems of communication when they go to sea, by providing them with the forecast of the ocean state's 3-day forecast.
The Acting Director General of the Meteorological Agency, Dr. Michael Tanu, is optimistic the app will improve the work of the fishing industry.
We were giving information to the head of the fishing community, and he then will go and host flags. But now we feel that we have to go a bit further. So that is why we brought this up, so that, because sometimes you don't know whether the information is getting to the fisher folks. Maybe the chief fisherman might get it but may not be able to disseminate it to them on time.
Participants were grateful to the Meteo Agency and the University of Ghana for the support. Many say the fisheries and aquaculture sector is critical to countries' economies. Figures from the World Bank indicate that in 2011 alone, the sector contributed some $24 billion to Africa's economy and also provided employment to over 12 million people. Gifty J, GBC News, Accra.
To the Ashanti region now. For many years, the people of Ninting National Region have lived with an acute water shortage causing serious health and socio-economic problems. Our Ashanti regional team has visited the town and interacted with residents who say they have no option than to adhere to the WHO's hand-washing directive to prevent COVID-19 since they have no potable water, and they say the problem persists despite several appeals and unfulfilled promises by state agencies.
Ninting is near the famous Mampong's Cap on the Kumasi-Ejura Road. It has more than 1,500 inhabitants whose main occupation is crop farming. Ninting is famous for trade in banana. It was also a known location to cure strokes, attracting lots of people to the town. Today, the people trade in a variety of fruits and foodstuffs which the women folk sell to commuters in transit through the town. There's not much to do here in Ninting, which is of concern to the chiefs and people. Their major concern, though, which is causing serious health and other socio-economic difficulties for them, is the sorry state of the potable water supply sources. Ninting has a rocky and uneven topography, meaning the water table is very low. They still drink water emanating from rocks and also use same for house chores. But today, climate change is drying up that water source. The community has been depending on two main water bodies, Amiselai and Nintimu, and this is a long distance away. Some also harvest rainwater when it is available. GBC News visited the two sources. At Amiselai, a shallow round hole was dug on the rocky surface to create a small pool of water from two tributaries. With a slow flow, it takes a long time to fill a container. GBC News spoke to two sisters, Abna Enchua and Grace Ajen. They say apart from waking up very early for the journey to the water hole, they encounter snakes in the bush or while scooping the water. Kwabna Duku also fetches from the water source. GBC News traveled with the head of the 19 Breakthrough Royal family, Nana Eduasari, who has been the lead advocate for external support to resolve the water problem, especially the other community water source, the Nintimu. It also flows from rocks within a shady vegetation. To protect the water from pollution, a pool has been artificially created and covered with aluminium sheets. In an interview, the head of the Breakthrough Royal family of Ninting, Nana Eduasari, said even though the community, with the assistance of some philanthropists, have tried to make the two community water sources safe and reliable, the efforts have not yielded the desired results. He was worried that the many appeals to state agencies, including the Mampong Municipal Assembly, have not resolved the problem, despite many promises. Nana Eduasari appealed to all for help to come to the town as soon as possible to help protect lives as well.
Back in Accra, the Food and Drugs Authority (FDA), in collaboration with the Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO) of the United Nations and sister agencies, have commemorated the 2020 edition of the World Food Safety Day. The celebration, which has the theme "Food Safety, Everyone's Business," is in support of the resolution adopted at the 73rd session of the United Nations General Assembly that from 2019, the 7th of June every year should be dedicated to celebrate the innumerable benefits of food, safe food. The regulatory officer and head of the Food Industrial Support at the FDA, Mr. Kofi Essel, was earlier in our studios to talk about the day.
Anything that will make the food unusable, that will make the food unwholesome for consumption, contribute to the safety of the food. So food safety generally is a phenomenon that looks at measures that will ensure that food, when used as prescribed, will not have any negative or adverse health impact on the consumer. If you look at the numbers of deaths that occur in a year, in excess of 600,000 cases, in Africa alone we have over 166,000 deaths. Okay, in excess, 166,000 deaths, and out of these numbers, those who are most vulnerable are children below the ages of 5, pregnant women, the elderly, and people who are immunocompromised. And so you realize that if we are losing lives, food is supposed to be a pleasurable thing. You eat food for pleasure, you eat food to gain nutrients for growth and what have you. But you should not eat food and then suffer death or sickness as a result of that. And so it is very imperative for governments, national governments, to do everything possible to ensure that the citizenry have access to safe food. There's a very close link between the security of the food and then the safety of it. We don't want a situation where we have enough food around, but the food cannot be used.
And it's going waste.
Not even that alone, but that it cannot be used in the sense that it contains bacteria and other materials that will make it unwholesome for use. In Africa, one of our biggest concerns, and it's about cereals, for instance. Our major staple is cereal. And one of the major problems we have with cereals has to do with mycotoxins. And when we talk about mycotoxins, you are referring to largely aflatoxin. Aflatoxin is a metabolite from a mold, a type of mold we call aspergillus. And so when the maize or the peanut become moldy, like the cereals and then some of these nuts, they become moldy. Aflatoxin is developed in the product, and aflatoxin is responsible for most of liver cancers. And so if we in Africa
You know, we depend a lot on cereals, and our cereals are not properly preserved. They grow moldy. Aflatoxins are developed in them, and then we eat them. As we keep accumulating these aflatoxins in our body, you know, they will destroy us eventually.
On June 20, 2020, the New Patriotic Party, NPP, will hold parliamentary primaries in various constituencies across the country, following the easing of restrictions on social gathering. The party General Secretary, Mr. John Bodu, said there will be no